#WeAreMovieClub.
Hey there, We Are Movie Club. This week is Red vs. Blue, Season 9. Creeping up on the end. This review was for week 43 of #WeAreMovieClub. This week's pick was mine. So the short sale on this one is that Church tries to figure out his world inside the Epsilon unit while we catch up on Project Freelancer. My love it for this is there is a point where we see Maine pick up the brute shot, which is the knife rifle thing that he uses in season 6 through 8, and Washington goes, "Oh, that's a good look for you." Probably my favorite part of the entire thing. My hate for this was that it was out of sequence. It felt very Pulp Fiction. Maybe that was on purpose. If you're unaware, I don't like Pulp Fiction specifically because it tells the story in the wrong order for me. Honestly, if I ever find the time, I'll probably dig through seasons 9 and 10 myself and recut it so I can watch everything in sequence. The MVP for this is, and you know what? I'm going to look up her name real quick. Agent Carolina, voiced by Jen Brown. It says something when I'm willing to look up the voice actor's name to make sure that she gets credit in this review. And I kind of remember a time when Rooster Teeth didn't show up in IMDb. Funny world. But Carolina is the badass of badasses in here, with the exception maybe of Tex. Now, given everything that we know about Tex and what we know the characters don't know about Tex, there's some very interesting developments here, especially since we know kind of how Tex works, and seeing these two compete. Not only is it odd that both of these are female gendered characters in a sort of boys club world, especially with the director being male himself, it's really notable that these are super strong leading female characters, as well as the fact that both of them run equipment in the field, supposedly without any AI. We haven't really got there to address the issue yet, but if you notice, none of them are supposed to be using equipment in the field. Carolina has to authorize North to use the bubble shield at one point to save them. And let's flip on to the categories.
Aesthetics.
Oh, it's like I could say so many inappropriate things to compare how I feel about finally getting to this point. Finally dragging We Are Movie Club all the way to season 9 of Red vs. Blue, because it's worth it. I'm not an action guy. I like a story. I like stuff behind it. But there's something about when you do animation like this, especially since I know kind of how it's made with the mo capture and everything, just beautifully done. Monty is just a treasure to Rooster Teeth. And while it kind of feels that it's like, oh hey, if you do all this cool stuff for Red vs. Blue, then we'll give you your funds and resources to do your own project, which is kind of how I feel like we got Ruby. I can't thank Monty enough and Bernie for writing this, and Rooster Teeth in general. It is amazing to see this. The fight scene into season 8 I thought was amazing, but we get like 3 or 4 more of those. Hell, we start out in the first 20 minutes of this with this badass run mission with North and South, and Carolina jumping in, and Tex supposedly being in the background. It's amazing to really see what they can do when they let loose and they use all their creative resources. I'm so shocked. And I can't drone on about each individual scene, but they go as far to have specialized characters. Even with all the ODST characters, they have the mid-bosses. They've got the shark guy, the main equivalent guy with no sleeves. There's the shotgun guy who ends up with the transmitter. There's so many interesting things just visually in this. I can't say enough about it, and if I'm not going to spend 20 minutes droning on about each individual crazy scene in this, I'm not going to do any. All I can say is watch it, be amazed, and just that last action scene, I never thought I would see that anywhere ever, let alone from Rooster Teeth. Knocked my socks off even just watching it now. I love this. I love Rooster Teeth. I love Red vs. Blue. I got all googly with the oogly in this, which is why aesthetics gets a 99.
Character development.
Now, if you remember, seasons 6 through 8 were written as a trilogy, but they are a part of this larger saga, which is 6 through 10. So we're still kind of investigating what's going on with Church and Alpha. Not so much Epsilon, but just the director and trying to figure out all the pieces. Even when we start at the very beginning of this, it's Church giving this dialogue about how he's not Leonard. He's not even Alpha. He's Epsilon, but people call him different things. Even director. To try to bridge all these worlds together to show that it's really one thing. And so while we're flashing back to him as the director and even Alpha, and oh my gosh, it's such great character development, drip feeding information. Now we know half the answers that the questions being asked with the Project Freelancer stuff because it is a flashback, so we know some of it, but we're getting drip fed new information on characters, and that's all wonderful. I can't wait to just see a little bit more and develop and get to know the freelancers more. At this point, it's almost a tragedy to come back to Blood Gulch and listen to these guys make bad jokes, and Epsilon try to deal with the world inside the unit. Church and Tex fighting about nonsense, and the whole thing with letting her go, and I don't know if she's deleted or what. But there's so many powerful events there, but none of it is with the original guys. In fact, I think that bit about making them be acting, their behavior being incorrect, I think that was done to purposely generate some character development because it's all on the Project Freelancer side, and I'm super thankful for it because while we know these characters and we know a little bit about them, we know what it's become, we don't know where they came from. And of all of them, as much as I like Carolina, I'm actually happy to see Wash's backstory, especially during that fight. Oh, Wash is a funny guy. Character development gets 92.
Storyline.
Well, I think it's a great story, and I want to see more of what's happening. I love that we're starting over, not at the beginning, but kind of in the middle. We're flashing back to the middle and then working our way forward. Little bits at a time, mission by mission, where, how do I say it, good in that respect. What I don't like is chopping the story up, telling it out of order for no real reason. I almost feel like they should have done this in 2 different web series at the same time. Maybe done Project Freelancer as a separate series because the delivery was a little off. Storyline gets an 88.
Compulsion.
Dude, this is a good time. I don't care if you're broing out. I don't care if your boyfriend's trying to make you watch something stupid. Watch this with whoever is trying to get you to watch it. It is a good time. You're going to get a little bit of humor, clean or not, back in Blood Gulch. It's not the best parts of it, because even if it's super funny, then we go over to Project Freelancer and we get badass action on top of badass action. It's like a double-decker sandwich of fun. You just keep piling it up, and it's oh so good. Compulsion gets a 92. Now, if you add all that up, you get an average of 92.75. This honestly has action that I can watch forever and not get tired of, which is very rare for me to say. And while I do wish it was structured a little better, it's a good time for anyone to watch. Even if you just start at Season 9, which I never would recommend, you're going to enjoy this. You don't need to know all the backstory. For the more interesting characters, you're going to be developing the backstory from the start. So, again, while that could be its own thing, I kind of like how it's presented, and it's a good mix to keep everything interesting. Once again, this was a review for #WeAreMovieClub. This week's pick was mine. Next week, I believe Charlie has us doing Hansel and Gretel, the Witch Hunters. But we'll see. We'll see how it is. Anyways, that's it for me. I'm Cameron, and hey, thanks for watching.
Be sure to go check out all the fine folks that are involved in this video. Thanks for watching.